So back in 2021, we got a crazy rumor that Nintendo was working on a new Donkey Kong game. At the time, we only knew it would be developed by the Odyssey team, the in-house Nintendo team responsible for Super Mario Odyssey, hence the name. And also, apparently, Shigeru Miyamoto was allegedly going to be involved in the project. At the time, we didn't know if this would be a 2D platformer game like the Donkey Kong Country games were, or if it would be a return to 3D platformer style like DK64. All we could do is speculate. That is, until now. According to a recent podcast by Nintendo Prime, a fellow YouTuber, the rumor of said new DK game is in fact true. According to him, it will be an open world style game like Breath of the Wild, which may not seem to make sense when taken at face value, but when we really look at it, it makes a lot of sense. Donkey Kong has always had a diverse set of moves at his disposal, which allow players of the Donkey Kong Country series to approach each situation however they wished. This exact formula was why Mario's jump from 2D to 3D was so seamless. 3D platform games require a pretty comprehensive moveset so that the player has a more engaging experience traversing the world. Case in point, Super Mario 64. Mario had more moves like the wall jump, triple jump, jump dive, and of course, everyone's favorite. Without all these cool moves though, you get pretty bored with the game pretty quick. Imagine instead of performing all these cool tricks to get to the top of Bob-omb Battlefield, you just decided to walk to the top. That's not exactly engaging gameplay, but with DK, his moves in the 2D games would already translate super well to a 3D open world style. Imagine, for instance, swinging from vine to vine in order to traverse the vast jungle, or boarding a minecart to really cover ground fast, or bowling over enemies in your path. Now, imagine doing that in an open world environment. These systems are already in place. Now, a new move that was rumored to be included was a move that allows DK to grind on vines or tree trunks as well, because we don't have enough rail grinding. No, I'm just kidding. Rail grinding is actually pretty awesome, let's be honest here. But I digress. When the devs pitched this idea to Miyamoto, he didn't like the idea of Donkey Kong grinding these things with bare feet. So the devs came back with the idea that DK would wear banana peels as shoes when grinding. Really? Wear banana shoes to grind? What is this? Does Miyamoto have something with feet now? I don't know. Now, this really seems suspicious to me just because of the absurdly out of place concern for the wellness of DK's feet. But we are talking about the guy who came up with the idea of an Italian plumber going to save a princess of a mushroom infested kingdom from an evil giant turtle. So yeah! But this alleged new DK game would be called DK Freedom, which is an odd title unless the Odyssey team suddenly became super pro-America. But interestingly enough, if you look up Donkey Kong Freedom on YouTube, you get this fan-made creation that pretty much lays out all of these ideas that was created by this rumor. So does that mean that this project was mistaken for some fan-made creation? According to Nintendo Prime, no, because he claims to have actually seen the footage for this new game from a source that he has at Nintendo, and that the fan-made footage is not the same. But he didn't have any proof to back that claim, so here we are back at square one. Of course, everything here is simply speculation. Either way, be this project real or not, I really want this game to be true. I was a low-key fan of all the Donkey Kong Country games as a kid. Let's just be honest, I actually was a really big fan of the games. I'm not gonna lie, I love those games. And even to this day, I still love them for their interesting and challenging platforming experiences. And this game would take that to the whole new level. Like if they were to I don't know, add the new character changing ability from Donkey Kong 64, it could make things much more interesting. They could add weight classes for each character. So for example, Donkey Kong himself would be a heavyweight, and Diddy would be a lightweight, and each one handles differently when swinging and grinding through the landscape. It would add an extra dimension that would focus on which character to use in the right situation, giving you just a little more strategy to consider before going forward. There is also a really interesting rumor that Pauline would be featured heavily in this new game, and that she might even be a playable character. What role she would play, I don't know. I'm not even sure how she'd fit into the gameplay if it's optimized for such a big brute like Donkey Kong. Perhaps she would have separate cutscenes where you'd play as her. I don't know. But if this is true, then I'm sure the Odyssey team would be able to figure a way out. Also, a game like this would really shake up the platformer genre, as we never really got any real open world games that emphasized on using different characters of different weight classes for certain situations. Now, one of the interesting things about this rumored project is that it would be made by the Odyssey team, as I've said time and time again throughout this video. The problem with this idea is that they are surely working on a new Mario game, aren't they? And therefore wouldn't have time in their schedule to make a Mario game and a new Donkey Kong game at the same time. But according to this rumor, Nintendo took some of the younger devs from that team and branched them off into another team to work on this. All the while, they give the veteran team even more veteran devs to focus on the Mario project. That way they can kill two birds with one stone. Now, why they wouldn't just assign another Nintendo team to this project, I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with what Nintendo team's doing what nowadays. Now, I'm not saying I don't want the Odyssey team working on this game. I'm sure they do an absolutely fabulous job. What I am ultimately getting at, though, is that this is just a rumor from an unverified source. Nintendo hasn't come out and confirmed it yet, and there's significant evidence that this may be faked. But the interesting fact is that the rumor has been going on for well over a year. I've never heard a rumor that was started over a year ago and is still going to this day. So that kind of gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, there might be some validity behind this. As much as I love this idea, it is only a rumor at the end of the day, though. But I so much want to believe this. A new DK game that isn't a variant of Donkey Kong Country would be amazing. Not to throw shade at Donkey Kong Country, as I said, I love that game. But a new DK game with a whole new concept that would shake the very foundations of the franchise is exactly what this IP needs. It's kind of been dormant for a little bit of a while. I mean, last we got was Tropical Freeze, which was an amazing, amazing game, but it didn't exactly sell well. Something that really shakes this up would finally shake all the rust off, and I think launch this whole franchise into a whole new stratosphere, which is exactly what I think Miyamoto wants to do. And I think that's why Miyamoto is directly involved here. He wants DK to be in the limelight. He wants DK to be an A tier of Nintendo's IP. I mean, he's getting his own section at Super Nintendo World, for God's sakes. Not Zelda, not Kirby, Donkey Kong. And he's not getting some small addition either. He's getting quite a significant chunk of the park, much larger than even Mario's section currently is. Not to mention, DK is an important part of the Mario movie. They could have easily left DK out of this project and the movie wouldn't have been affected. Yet, here he is. And I think it's because Miyamoto has significant plans for the Big Ape. And to give him the A-tier treatment and not give him a new game to boot just seems, forgive me here, bananas! I mean, he is Miyamoto's baby after all. And like a good father, he only wants the best for him. And since we more or less won't be getting another Donkey Kong Country game, taking this approach seems the best for the lovable 8. But honestly, that's my thoughts on what's going on with this. It's still very early. It's still very much speculation, so take all of this with a grain of salt. But it is something I'm super excited for, and I would love to see a game like this. And I just love thinking about this whole project in general. I mean, Donkey Kong and Mario would fit this formula so well. So having not just a Mario open world game, but a Donkey Kong open world game as well, that would be something that's added on this new console that Nintendo's possibly going to be releasing in 2023. It just seems like a very strong idea for Nintendo to do. But let me know what you guys think of this whole situation in the comments down below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next ones. Goodbye now.